as well.
That was pretty cool, wasn't it?
With us now to discuss the changing perceptions of the royal family and Meghan's role in all of that is writer, broadcaster and social commentator Afua Hirsch. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's great to be here. What an amazing
You look
feat.
guest ready.
Thank you.
Sans hat.
Well, you know, we are at the wedding,
Absolutely.
right?
So listen, we're outside the world's oldest inhabited castle. What kind of difference to the royal family do you think the modern Meghan Markle will make?
I think that the challenge for the royal family is how to be a family that represents very old-fashioned values of intergenerational inherited privilege in a society that's about equality of opportunity and multiculturalism. And I think that Meghan Markle is certainly someone who represents the latter. She has become successful through her own talent and hard work. She's used her celebrity to champion causes that she's passionate about. And also as a woman of mixed heritage, she hasn't shied away from speaking about that. She's owned it. And for me, as a black British woman of mixed heritage myself, I think there's been a lot of pressure in my lifetime in this country, if you're entering spaces that have previously been very white, to downplay your identity. And I think she represents a real cultural change in her willingness not to minimize it, but to speak about it. And for me, that sends a powerful signal that you can own your identity. It's not a taboo. It's not something to shy away from. And that also there is nothing essentially white about Britishness. You know, for a lot of people, the royal family represent a sense of British identity. And until now, that has been an identity very much linked to whiteness in many people's perceptions. So I think the visual and symbolic change that Meghan's entry to that family represents is actually quite profound.
Do you think that there is an inherent tension there for Meghan Markle, because she is somebody who has written and spoken very eloquently about the subject of her own race and her own personal struggle with finding and making peace with what her identity was? There is inherent privilege in the royal family.
Yes.
That is the very tradition of it. You know, they hand down the privilege.
Yes.
She's about equality of opportunity.
Yes.
Is that a paradox? Do you predict a tension
Yes, there are so many paradoxes about the royal family, and I can personally relate to this because while I have felt quite alienated by the idea of inherited privilege, at the same time, my own struggles with identity have made me really appreciate the need for cultural continuity. And so while I didn't really relate to the royal family, I related to the fact that people did. I can relate to the need for that sense of tradition and, you know, as the world changes more rapidly than ever, that sense of a history that lives today. So I think that everyone can relate to the need to have traditions you can embrace. And I respect the fact that for a lot of people, the royal family provide that.
But I think what you pointed out earlier on, or your opinion earlier on, is so important, in that there's no reason as to why you should downplay your identity and embrace, well, essentially your in-laws as well, right?
Well, speaking of the in-laws, we're looking at Tom Parker Bowles and his wife Sarah Baez. They're just going into the chapel at St George's. I wonder if, you know, we're sitting among the splendour. We're completely, I have to say, I'm enjoying it. We're buying into it today. Do you think Meghan Markle makes it more difficult for people who have a tendency towards republicanism to be a Republican, because she represents something distinctly different?
Anecdotally, there are many people I know who have always been very sceptical of the royal family, who just cannot help themselves but be interested in this wedding. You know, in spite of all of their ideology, they just can't help it because they feel compelled by her. And look at who she's invited. She's invited other self-made people. There are black icons here: Oprah Winfrey, Idris Elba, Serena Williams. These are people who have real meaning for so many people. And also, she's giving a platform to other black talent. She's got the Kingdom Gospel Choir performing, the Episcopalian Bishop Michael Curry. She has Sheku Kwame Mason, the young black cellist, performing. It feels like she is really opening a space for other black talent. And that's something that even people who are not a fan of the royal family feel very passionately about.
Afua Hirsch, so interesting. We could talk all day about this, but I'm afraid we've got to fit other stuff into. You look splendid. We hope you enjoy the day. Thanks for joining us.
Hope we see you later on as well, Afua.